Well, when I think back to third grade, Miss Kingston's class at Lakewood Elementary in Erie, Pennsylvania, I think about how my whole life was my destiny was cast, and I didn't realize it because I've gone back to third grade for so much of my story material for Arthur. Um, the teachers that I use in my book, my principal, Mr. Haney, is Arthur's principal. Problems that I had on the playground with bullies, Binky Barnes, who I can't tell you the real name of Binky Barnes, but he looks exactly like that, or he did in third grade. When my son asked me to tell him a bedtime story one night when I guess he was about 5, and he said, "Tell me a story about a weird animal." And I don't know why I thought of an aardvark. I guess I was feeling that bunnies and bears and cats and dogs were taken, and the aardvarks hadn't really had their moment at bedtime. So Arthur was born that night, and I made this connection after telling the story, and he wanted me to draw him a little picture of what this aardvark looked like. I thought, now this would be a great job. I love working with kids, I love drawing, I love telling stories, but how do I make a living doing this? I would probably be a TV art director somewhere, maybe, I don't know. I tried that for a while, actually, but I got fired. My boss was not amused that I wanted to dress up our weather lady as a fairy and fly her onto the set on a large swing, dressed as a fairy, and land in front of a little wishing well. And she would tiptoe over and say, "Well, what's happening today with our weather?" And I would be in the well, and I guess a little bit of ham in me, and I would answer her. I would say, "It's snowing today, Shirley. Get out your galoshes." And then I told him how there would be a little mechanical squirrel that would hand her marker to do the weather maps, and how we would change her costume with the seasons. And he stopped asking me questions at one point. I don't remember how soon, but I did find a pink slip in my mailbox the next morning, and it entitled me to a free Christmas ham. And I lived on ham for a long time. But I think that each job that I had, and I did have many jobs, kids think I just sort of woke up one day and became an author illustrator, but it was a series of being fired from many jobs that led me. Each thing, there was something to offer, and I brought it to what I do now. And I think of kids as my boss, and I really take my job seriously, and I don't want to be fired because I really like what I do. They relate to Arthur because he makes mistakes, and he's not afraid to ask difficult questions. He's sort of an average kid, and he has the same kinds of problems that most kids have, and he's dealing with the same issues that they're dealing with in their lives. And I was a little surprised to hear that kids watch the show who are sort of older, out of our demographic zone, beyond 8 years old or 9 and 10. And I think it's because the stories do deal with issues like a bully. They're still dealing with bullies in junior high school and high school, and so a lot of the issues translate to many different age groups. And I didn't want some network executive deciding that Arthur should have a machine gun in his backpack. And they couldn't give me the kind of approval that I wanted, so I didn't do any television with Arthur, and I was very happy not to do that. But when PBS had the idea of using television, this very powerful medium, which can be wonderful when it's used well, combining that with the seductive element of animation with an objective of using those two things to make kids want to read, I thought that was a very exciting idea and concept, and I wanted to be a part of that. Kids are very interested about how I write my books, and one thing they want to know is, do I get it right the first time? And I explained to them that I don't. I make mistakes just like they do, and I do each book probably 30 times, do about 30 drafts before I'll show it to my editor, and then my editor will tell me where more work needs to be done usually. Well, I never imagined Arthur being more than one book, and I never imagined this whole process, this adventure, this great adventure that Arthur's taken me on, lasting for almost 30 years now. And all the stories that would emerge from Arthur, and how, because of the transition to television, how intimate his world would become and how complex. What makes it work for me and makes it be a little bit easier is finding the right subject matter. And it's always coming back to real life. It's coming back to something that happens in real life that I know kids are interested in, that kids are bothered by, or it could be helpful to their families. Head lice. There aren't many shows that will deal with head lice in a humorous and educational and entertaining way for children and families. But I like taking on subject matter like that. We're working on a show right now for next season about peanut allergies. And, you know, it may sound like a small thing, but it's something that a lot of parents are very concerned about, and a lot of kids have to deal with in their lives every day. And I get these things suggested to me, and you hear it often enough, and you understand that there is a real need for this subject to be dealt with in a helpful way.
The Reading Rockets Meet the Author series is a production of WETA. Major funding for Reading Rockets comes from the United States Department of Education, Office of Special Education Programs. For more author interviews, recommended reading lists, and information about teaching kids to read, please visit us online at www.readingrockets.org.